Hello and welcome to the Giving Voice to Depression podcast, brought to you by Recovery.com, the best place to find mental health and addiction treatment for anyone, anywhere.
Each week, we profile a guest who shares openly about their mental health journey. They share because they understand that when people don't talk about their depression or other mental health conditions, those of us who do struggle with them can feel like we're the only ones, that there's something wrong with us, and that no one understands. We understand.
I'm Terry McGuire, the creator and co-host of this podcast. You have my promise that we'll keep it real here. Depression is real, and we're not going to sugarcoat our discussions about it.
Hope is also real, and you'll get a dose of that here too. I'm Carly McCullough, a licensed social worker and educator, and Terry's daughter. We've both experienced depression and also support loved ones struggling with it. We're here to normalize talking about depression and mental health in our communities, as well as our families.
And to share real-world tested strategies that have worked for other people who have walked similar paths. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Mom. So, listeners, if you're in a dark place right now, or you love someone who is, this is a conversation that you're going to relate to.
Today we're talking with Pam, who has lived through a severe years-long depression, 4 hospitalizations, and a suicide attempt. She opens up about how her brain lied to her, convincing her she was just a burden, and how she eventually made it to the other side.
We're going to talk about what works when someone you care about is struggling, and what can make things worse. Pam also shares a powerful reality check. She currently lives with a severe, painful physical condition, but says she'd choose it any day over depression.
Here is Pam giving her voice to depression. Pam tells her story because she understands the destructive power of isolation, stigma, and misinformation.
Most people think depression is just being sad.
Yeah.
And it is so much more than that. And I know when I went through it, my husband really didn't understand what he could do to help.
And when the people who know and love us don't understand, odds are slim that others will. That's been Pam's experience for decades.
I think I have struggled with depression off and on throughout my life, but I've always managed to suppress it, and just keep going. The parents I had, it was just not easy. I couldn't go to them with problems.
But there came a point when Pam could no longer suppress it. After her husband recovered from emergency heart surgery, followed by numerous complications, her mental health plummeted.
So you would think at that point everything would be great, but I think I had like adrenaline going through the whole time that he was struggling. And when he got better, I just sank into a deep, deep depression. And I tried really hard to hide it because I knew my husband didn't understand. And I hoped it would just go away. But it didn't.
It was actually Pam's pastor who recognized that she was depressed and needed support. It took a few tries to find a therapist who was a good fit, but she did.
It's important. If you don't match or don't click with your counselor, try another one. You need to find someone you feel comfortable with. But the third one, she stuck with me for 3 years. We went through everything. I mean, that's, dug up all the abuse from my past and stuff that I had completely repressed and buried. And it was difficult. I would say this depression was the worst time of my life.
The worst and the longest. Pam says it was more than 3 years before she felt herself again. What were your symptoms?
Oh, goodness. Just a complete lack of drive to do anything. Things that used to make me laugh just irritated me. People irritated me. I just didn't want to talk to anybody. So I would say everybody noticed it, the change in me, because it was noticeable. Trying to think of what other symptoms. I mean, I wanted to sleep a lot. I didn't care that much about eating, but I kept a healthy supply of chocolate right where I sat. I can tell you that when I got better, I was really ticked at myself for doing that.
What about the thoughts?
I just wanted to die, to be honest. I was just miserable. There was no joy in anything.
It's worth noting here that Pam did this interview from her bed. Not because she's depressed again, but because walking around or even sitting up for long periods of time is really painful for her.
I was diagnosed finally with pudendal neuralgia, which is a painful condition, nerve condition in the pelvis. Men and women both get it. But with women, the cause is either, an accident, which I've not had, or if you have a traumatic pregnancy or childhood sexual abuse. And that was the cause for me. So it's typical to start in your mid-50s, and that's exactly when it started. I was textbook case that way. But my daughter asked me at one point, which was worse, the depression or the pain you're in now? And I didn't even hesitate. I said the depression, because when I was depressed, there was no joy in anything. I couldn't watch a sitcom and laugh. It wasn't funny. Whereas even though this is painful and it's uncomfortable, I still laugh. I can still be happy. And my husband and I get along so well. I eat all my meals like this because I have to lay on my side. So I eat my meals in my bed. The reason I find this awful condition is not as bad as the depression tells you how much we need to talk about mental health, how important it is. And I really think if we educate people from the start, like kindergarten on up, with age-appropriate lessons, of course, teach kids how to manage their emotions and teach them about mental health, that there'll be less physical illnesses, because depression can lead you down a negative path physically as well.
Pam has been hospitalized several times for her depression, including after a suicide attempt. She spent 8 weeks in a mental health care facility. There are lessons from that she wants to share too.
I think Hollywood has done a great injustice to the mental health community, because I was waiting to be thrown into a rubber room and being hosed down with a fire hose or something, or the place was going to be full of crazy people doing crazy things. I was terrified, and it was nothing like that. I think before I went to the hospital the first time, I was extremely busy. I was always doing stuff. And when I was hospitalized, I was forced to come to a complete stop because I was on a floor that was just for depression. Like, you really end up bonding with the people there. And you'd be amazed at how much we laughed together. Because we all had the same thing in common, we could laugh at ourselves, we could laugh at situations, but I know when I first arrived, you just feel like you just want to shrink inside yourself. Like, part of me is like, I don't want to be here, but at the same time, I know I need help. I would just say to people who are depressed, if you do need to be hospitalized, don't be afraid of it. It'll actually be helpful. And please don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Like, you are sick. When somebody says it's all in your head, it's like, yeah, I know where it is, but I need help fixing it. You can't fix it yourself.
In the years since her major depression, Pam has researched the disorder and talked to others with it to learn about their experiences, including what does and does not help when trying to be there for someone. What are some things that you've learned are not helpful?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, snap out of it. When people are depressed, they don't like being depressed. If they could snap out of it, they would. I think, making a promise and not following through. That happened to me a number of times, where someone would say, I'm going to call you this week and we'll do lunch. And being so depressed, I had no desire to go out for lunch. But when that person forgot and didn't call me, it really hurt. And during those 3 years of depression, especially I think it was the last year, there were 2 separate party type events, which I would normally have been invited to 100%, but I wasn't. And I can't tell you how much that hurt. And it would have meant a lot if the host or whatever had just called me and said, look, we're doing this. You are more than welcome. We want you to come. You're definitely invited. But we know you're going through something right now. So if you'd rather not come, we understand. But you are invited. Like, if they would have done that, I could have chosen to stay home and not felt guilty about it. And you're being very considerate of the other person's feelings.
Meeting them where they are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
On the flip side, Pam shares some acts of kindness that did make a difference to her.
The right things to say, just, I'm here for you if you ever want to talk. And don't just say that flippantly and walk away. Say, I'm coming over. I'm bringing a muffin and a coffee, and we'll just hang out. And if you want to talk, that's fine. If we just want to sit there, that's okay too. If somebody had done that, it would have meant a lot to me. One woman, one point, showed up with flowers, and it meant the world to me. So it really doesn't have to be expensive. It could just be a text or an email, just an encouragement. I'm thinking about you.
Tell me what difference the flowers make. What did they communicate to you?
It showed that she cared, and it made me feel like I mattered.
For those of you listening who have never experienced depression, you should know that it convinces many of us that we do not matter and that no one cares. So anything you can do to counter those and other dark, repetitive thoughts can make a big difference, including this beautiful example.
At one point, my husband went, "What can I do? What can I do to help?" And I just said, "You're doing it. You're holding me in your arms at night. You're loving me through this."
You're loving me through this.
Oh, I know. That's why I put it at the end. I was like, oh, let that sink in.
It's like it goes in extra deep when someone loves you well and right while you're in depression.
Because you feel utterly unlovable.
Yeah. That your head is such a bad place to be, that when someone shows you what love looks like, it also can help hold up a mirror to how distorted your own thinking has become.
Yeah, good way to put it.
Right before she says, "You're loving me through this," she said, "You're holding me in your arms at night." And there's something about touch that we haven't talked about. We talk a lot about sort of thoughts and behaviors, but one of the things that we definitely know about ourselves is that we are animals. We need to be touched and we need to be held. One of the things that I know really helps me when I'm depressed, and it sounds like it helps Pam too, is that a hug, like a real hug, gives my body a reminder that I'm not all alone. And there's something about a hug where you're, I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but when you hug someone, your hearts are on the opposite sides. So it's like you're giving each other a heart on both sides of your body. And it's really co-regulating, and it really can be nourishing in ways that, sorry, you're going through this. I don't know. It's never going to quite hit the same for me as someone giving me a hug. It's like an act of love.
And I also have to jump in as someone who doesn't have someone readily available for a hug when I need one. Hugging ourselves actually has the same effect neurologically, or a similar effect. And I learned about the butterfly hug, where you can just sort of give yourself a hug from the front and alternately tap on your, I guess it's upper arm, not shoulder. The touch doesn't have to come from someone else if someone else isn't available.
Yeah. They also, in the last few years, have come a really long way in developing things specifically around needing that external pressure. So there are these sort of like sleeping bag type of things that people tuck themselves in at night to sort of cocoon up.
It's what we do for babies from birth, right? We swaddle them.
And it's about to be the summer, and a hammock is one of my very favorites, that it can really sort of swaddle you in this way that I know makes a really big difference for me in the summertime when I'm having some heavy days. I also know that sometimes I get massages, not because my shoulder hurts, but because my heart hurts. Or because I'm really going through it. But the idea of being touched in safe and nourishing ways by a professional allows my brain to shift a little bit more into that rest state. But yeah, touch is a really big thing for a lot of people, and we need it. And it's really supportive for a lot of people with depression.
We've always needed touch, and you know that if somebody just gives you a pat on the back or gives you a squeeze on the shoulder and says, "I'm here," that's different than just saying, "I'm here." There is that added, when it's welcomed, an added benefit to that. So, yep.
So I want to thank Pam for lifting up that it took her a few tries to find the right fit of a therapist.
Yes.
And that is really important for folks to know and think about, especially if entering the realm of proactive mental health treatment isn't something that or outpatient isn't something that you've experienced before. So I have been a therapist. I was actually on a call with a bunch of therapists in a private practice yesterday. And one of the things that a lot of folks may not know is that a lot of therapists will do an intake call or have a conversation with you where you are just getting a sense of each other. And that is not necessarily, hi, my name is Carly, tell me your deepest secrets, what brings you here? It is just sort of a vibe check, as the kids might say. But in some ways, it is more like the experience of dating and finding someone who's the right fit than you might think. And someone might be the right fit for a year. Someone might be the right fit to get you through a really hard couple weeks, but isn't the person that you want to spend that much more time investing in. And that doesn't mean that anything is wrong or they're bad or you're doing it wrong, but it takes a while to find the right one.
And when you talked about the vibe check, we should mention that with many, that vibe check is free. You can set up a 15-minute phone call or Zoom call or whatever they do, and say I'd like to touch base and see if we're a fit. But it doesn't have to involve getting dressed up and driving into their office, which can be a whole thing if you're depressed,
Sure.
or committing to it and paying for it. Find out, is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Sometimes that's all it takes.
And it's important to have the conversation about money because it's a big part of what makes therapy inaccessible for folks, and also what allows the relationship with a therapist to be the right long-term fit, right? You might say, I want the best, and I'm going to throw money at it. But if you can't afford it, 3 sessions with the best, maybe it changes your life. There are those TV therapists we all see, and they seem to just sort of wave a magic wand. But for most of us, it is going to be most nourishing to have a sort of longer-term ongoing thing. Though short-term therapy is also available.
Thank you.
We really hope that this discussion helps give some language or context to your own depression or ideas for how to support someone else in your life living with it. We invite you to check out the hundreds of episodes in our archive and to explore both the Resource Hub and treatment options on recovery.com. Depression is too dark a road to walk alone.
We'll be back next week.